Hello YouTube, how you doing? Interesting bits and pieces. I don't know, I was going to go into some software stuff that I use generally as a technician. If you are a technician or a tech head, there's different pieces of software that I would recommend. Firstly, hardware, or they call it CPU ID hardware, or hardware monitor, which is a great piece of software for getting temperatures, things of that nature. You can get temperatures for your CPU, for your GPU, and everything else, and all the other stuff. It also tells you clock speeds, voltages, everything of that nature. Then CPU ID or CPU Z, which is an excellent piece of software as well. Great piece of software, to be honest. Could not live without it in the sense of what it does and the invaluable information it can provide. Ooh, excuse me. Update. So I'm just going to update that software. I don't run the official I don't run the pro versions of these, but it still works pretty well anyway, even with the free versions. Now, as you can see, it tells you your relative information for voltages, it tells you your cache levels, your clock speeds, motherboard type, specifically down to what type of motherboard you have, branding and everything else, and if it's a reversion of a particular version. Then it tells you your clock speeds for your memory. Basically tells you what each slot of memory, or what's in each slot of memory that you have. And then you have your GPUs, obviously, which tells you basic speed. I mean, it doesn't give you as much information as GPU-Z. GPU-Z always gives you much more. So here's tech power-ups GPU-Z, which is basically, which I probably need to update that too, because I probably haven't updated it. So what do we keep? That was pretty quick. Go install that. There we go. Install. There we go. Finish. That's basically just a text file. Revealing details on it anyway. Okay, so close. So this is basically GPU-Z, which gives you basically details on your GPUs and everything else. Reversions, what type of PCI Express, basically all that type of stuff, basically. So it gives you a combination of all that. Sensors as well, tells you your temperatures and validates everything pretty much. So it's not too bad. It'll work with 2 GPUs, so sensors, V8, yeah. So I mean, at the end of it, it's not too bad. It's a pretty good tool. What else? Let's see. So you've got that. I mean, GPU-Z, CPU-Z, hardware monitor, great tools. I've never had really any big problems with them. What's you got here? You got CC Cleaner, which is an excellent piece of software too. Ada 64 Extreme, which I probably need to update the license on that, but I mean, I'm not majorly miffed. It's relatively up to date anyway. It goes with my current hardware. I'd probably have to update it depending on if I'm going for something newer, depending on the situation. So I probably have to. I have to enter the code. I haven't entered the code. That's hilarious. Okay, evaluation. So yeah, I would normally have a code entered, but this is a trial version. But I mean, okay, look. Basically, it's got a combination. It tells you DirectX configurations, you've got benchmarking tools, stability test tools, CPU ID tools, the same as CPU ID or CPU-Z, monitor diagnostics, GPU benchmarks, cache and memory benchmarks, disk benchmarks. Tells you basically the configuration of your motherboard and what and how your motherboard works and things that work with your motherboard. So yeah, it's got heaps of stuff in there. Now that's a fantastic piece of software which I have to enter the code for because when I did a format back to my original system I hadn't put the code into it. But that definitely Ada 64 Extreme, which I do like. It's a good piece of software and it's worth the money. These pieces of software I don't necessarily pay for them. They got the free versions in most cases, so they work pretty well regardless. CPU-Z. Then you got GPU-Z, which is the tech power one here. Benchmarking tools like Valley Benchmark, which I haven't actually got a license for that. That's just more for me because I can just do quick benchmarks and stuff like that. There's nothing fancy. But I do have a license for direct to 3D Mark 11, and I do have a license for 3D Mark as well. Because I bought those on Steam, I believe. I bought those on Steam, and they're pretty good pieces of software as well. They're great for let's see, great for benchmarking basically and getting an impression. CVR software. So we got software here, which is PlayClaw is another streaming software, which I sort of went through and did some stuff with, and was sort of out of it. But anyway, okay, so I got PC Mark 8, which is a complete benchmarking tool to be able to get a gist of where your computer is. 3D Mark Gamers Benchmark, which is an excellent piece of software as well. Never had any major issues with it. It's quite a nice piece of software, and it does a pretty good job. What else? Heaven Benchmark and the Valley Benchmark. I basically got the free version, I believe, if I remember correctly. So at the end of it, yeah, I probably should test these out at some point. I mean, probably download the latest version, because I don't know whether I've actually got the latest version or not. I mean, as I said, those are some of the excellent piece of benchmarking tools when it comes to sort of being able to benchmark stuff. There's also this as well, HG Tune, which I haven't got the pro version of this, but I got the basic version, which just, runs for errors and double checks for error scans, just make sure everything's all good. Checks the health of your system and the health of your drive and stuff. Tells you the information about your drive as well. What else? I mean, in the sense of recording software that I have a tendency to use, I've got Bandicam, I've got PlayClaw, which I can use that as well. I've got currently, which I'm using, which is the NVIDIA Shadow Play, because I always have a couple of different pieces of software to be able to do recordings, just in case perhaps one fails when the other doesn't. What else have I got on my system? I've got as I said, 3D Mark. I mean, these are the major pieces of software. Handbrake is good for compressing files too, especially if you want to upload them. I don't always. I probably should compress mine more, and I probably should get the settings just right for compression. But most of the time, I just end up uploading the raw file at the size that it's at. And I mean, I try my best to sort of minimize the size. But I mean, to be honest, as I said, sometimes decreasing the file size can sometimes, in some cases, decrease the file quality. So that's the reason I have a tendency to sometimes use Handbrake and sometimes not use Handbrake, so it's sort of a mixed thing. Handbrake is a good piece of software though for editing for YouTube and everything else. I use PowerDirector 13 at this present time to do my editing for my videos, which is another fantastic piece of software for editing. Speccy tells me all my information about Windows, and it also tells me information about my hardware as well. That's a great piece of software. I got a bundle thing which was like the recovery program, CC Cleaner Pro, Speccy Pro, and basically all the pro versions of those programs. And there was like a package deal or something. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good price. So, God damn it! Give me a second. Let me just have a drink of water. So yeah, basically, most of the software that I use has a tendency to be, for IT, or most cases IT stuff anyway. I got Qubit torrents, which I prefer that to uTorrent, because uTorrent just is crappily commercial these days. Power ISO. Which is fantastic for getting ISO files and doing that type of stuff. Also, there's another program we use, which is ImageBurn, which is great for burning and things like that, and doing image files and making image ISOs and stuff. VLC, just in case I got other media and things like that. XSplit, which I have to renew the license on that. I'll probably end up renewing it for 12 months next time around, if I do it, which I'm most likely I will. So, apparently the data centers have now been redone in Twitch, so there's actually an Australian data center, which is fantastic, by the way. There's just in the sense of lag, because sometimes you would have heaps of lag depending on where you were in Australia. So yeah, so GeForce Experience. Then you've got Gigabyte Go. I mean, you've got the basic software anyway. But like, I mean, a combination of my software that I use, as I said, it's some. I've got Neuro as well, which is my. I'll be able to being able to play media files and things of that nature, and burning discs and things like that. Individual discs and stuff. Which Neuro so far 2015 I haven't had any major issues. It's all been pretty good and all pretty functional. They've got voice changing software which I can obviously have a bit of fun with and always go for it. I've got Malwarebytes anti-malware, which is fantastic by the way. I mean, basically the software that I use, I try software that's related to most of the work that I do, especially when testing or benchmarking something. I mean, it's essentially I'm just benchmarking this machine just to make sure everything's working properly, but it's also benchmarking other machines as well in combination of that. So, pizza, then hamburger, then. So I just go on that. Now I feel like pizza. I already had steak for dinner, but now I feel like pizza for some reason. Damn it! Damn your eyes. Anyway, no. Aside from that point, anyway, or the point that I'm trying to make towards people is, in any case, that I mean, look at the end of it. The truth of the situation is that you're going to get certain situations where, you use pieces of software for a particular reason. Like most of the software that I've got on here, it serves some purpose and function. My antivirus software, protecting me against stuff, and there's a firewall built in as well. My multiple messaging software, which has me hooked up to Facebook, Yahoo, Twitter. It's got me hooked up to all those services simultaneously, so I can check all my feeds and everything else and things of that nature. And that's it, and name of that program is Trillian. Which Trillian, I got the Trillian Pro, the Trillian Pro version, which is nice. What else we got? Then we got PowerISO, which I actually ended up paying for a small copy of that because it's an invaluable piece of software when you're working on stuff and you're doing things. Pro version of Malwarebytes anti-malware, which is a fantastic program as well for finding finding things that you normally wouldn't find on a computer. This is the reason I always scan my clients' computers with, even though it's a free version, I still kind of scan my clients' computers with it and everything else. And I try to put ZoneAlarm, the free version, on most computers these days. But since ZoneAlarm has actually taken away their free antivirus, which to be honest, it was annoying that they have, but they have actually done that. I don't know. See, I don't know what to recommend in the sense of free antivirus these days. Most of the time these days I have a tendency to pay for antivirus because I know how much it can protect your computer from a lot of extra crap that you don't know about. Is it free antivirus? I haven't looked up any for God knows how long. As I said, AVG is okay. I mean, I'm not going to diss it too much, but yeah. I guess AVG might be okay, but I don't know. I'm not big on AVG, to be honest. It's because of the amount of people that I have seen who've come back with a lot of negative stuff on their computer, basically, from it. I mean, if I was going to recommend something that was free or something that was a specific version of that nature, I don't know. I've never tried Avira. I think a couple of people have had that. That stuff. I've never really liked. Okay. Well, personally, I never recommend Nortons. I hate Nortons with a passion. Maybe AVG. I mean, the end of it. Maybe AVG at a pinch, if it came down to it. Let's see. We'll go for a rating guide. Best free antivirus. Let's go for a rating guide and something I can actually trust. Best free antivirus. Let's see. Best free antivirus of 2015, which will go PC Mag. I do trust PC Mag because they always give some reasonable recommendations. So let's see. 2000 best free for 2015. Ah no, that's 2015. Wow. Okay. I don't want 2015. I want some. Probably Tech Radar. Actually, Tech Radar's not. Tom's Hardware Guide isn't too bad. Tom's Guide is not too bad either. Okay, so I used to like Avast. I mean, at a pinch in the worst situation, you could probably go Avast. This is 360 Total Security, which I've never heard of these guys. Oh no, hold on a second, what is this? It can be tracked by technology. Excellent commercial engine. Avara, probably the best free offerings. And okay, so I don't know what 360 is. 360 must be an all-in-one solution, I'm guessing. Which I don't know. I mean, I could sort of trust it, I guess. Avast, I definitely would have another problem because I have used it in the past and I was majorly negative experience with it. Avira, I have seen it around. I don't know what it's like at protecting in most cases, but yeah, I don't know, it might be okay. Now, what else we got? Panda Free Antivirus, which I've never tried Panda. I don't know what Panda's like, so I'd probably have to test run it first before I determine whether it actually would find the files. Or maybe find some guides and stuff on what was happening with it. Avira Antivirus Security 4.2. Which Avira, as I said, I don't know. I've never tried that in particular. 360 free antivirus. Which that's for phones, I assume. It looks like it. Popular app anyway. Virus Total. Which is you can analyze suspicious files. Metascan Online. That's interesting. But I mean, as I said, like, I've never had any major problems. I mean, AVG, I mean, it all depends though. I mean, it depends on what you're infected with too. Some people do purposely turn off their antivirus, which is stupid. I don't know, it's like you're an idiot if you turn off your antivirus when the site says to. That's ridiculous. I mean, in certain circumstances, I can understand not turning it off. Like, if you're an experienced person and a technician, and you know that you're not going to get infected because you know what particular files and you know what suspicious files look like and stuff like that. And the point is, you scan your machine straight after you've done, you've disabled anyway. You know, and you're an actual technician that knows, you know, what to look for in the sense of things. Yeah, I mean, at the end, you know, nothing wrong with that. Then we've got Komodo Antivirus, which I've never tried. Have heard some good things about it on and off. Bitdefender I have used, and Bitdefender I will say I've heard some good things about it. There is, I believe there's a free version of Bitdefender out there. Definitely. So this is Windows 8, and Windows 7. I mean, at the end of it, I mean, look, as long as you've got some type of virus protection on your system, you should be fine. But I mean, look, well, the point that I'm trying to make is, the two things that I have a tendency to use is a good antivirus in combination with the on-access protection of Malwarebytes, anti-malware. Alright? That's my point. That's what I use. These are the two programs I use, and I've never had a negative experience with things getting poked back at me, or, you know, people trying to hack me, or something like that, or things of that nature, basically. You know, these two programs seem to be pretty consistent in the way that they react to things and the way that they run, you know. Now, at the end of it, you know, that's simply the point that I'm trying to make about them, you know. Sorry, I'm just trying to copy some files over at the moment. But, yeah, that's pretty much the consistency of those files, alright? And I mean, at the end of it, you know, I have my antivirus, basically any of my driver software, then I've got Steam running in the background, obviously. I always have Steam running in the background so I can launch my games at any given time. I just prefer it from the load time that it takes to open up Steam and everything else. I've got my drivers and everything else in the background, and I've got some of my chat programs, obviously. I've got like Skype there. There's a lot of drivers running in the background. Like, okay, well, I've got my drivers for my headset, which is my Tactic 3D headset. My Sound Blaster. Then I got my Sound Blaster sound card. Steam in the background. Trilly in my chat program, which just sort of keeps me up to date and tells me whether people send me messages. I do get messages across the business stuff too. So, Then I got obviously my driver software again. Driver software. A lot of driver software. So driver. Little browsing notification just in case I'm on shopping sites and stuff. Which I know not everybody likes that, and sometimes it can muck things up. That's driver. So one driver. Cleaning program, which I like, active monitoring for CC Cleaner, which sort of cleans up any of my excess files. Driver again, so driver firmware updater / for my drive. Driver. My VPN. Yeah, so that pretty much most of the, all the icons that I have here serve a purpose and serve reasoning of it. There's a reason why they're there. There's a reason that they are there in the first place, and that's the reason that I use them. They keep things in line to a certain extent, and as I said, that sense of things, it's just better, so as I said, all my stuff pretty much serves a purpose. It serves purpose for it being there in the first place. Same as, I've got my editing software and all my other stuff in the background here. To be honest, I actually need to add some extras to the taskbar there. Open up. I want to grab, okay, so this one. Come on. I'm going to pin that to the start menu. Maybe. Okay. Okay. I actually have to add that. Okay. No, I'm sorry, I already got that one there. Okay, so pin that there. Pin to the taskbar. This is kind of because of the editing software anyway. And the other one I wanted to pin was that one. There we go. Pin that as well. There we go, perfect. So sorry, I'm just pinning some software that I regularly use. I always like to pin regular software that I regularly use to this menu, or to this area anyway. It just makes it easier to access in a given time frame than having them. I could have it on the desktop, but I've got a lot of other stuff on the desktop, which is mostly just my files for different things, text files and stuff for details of things that I've saved specifically. All encrypted anyway, so let me see here. Okay, iTunes, Logitech webcam software. Is there any other editing software that I gotta put? What I can see. I think it's mostly that, and it's editing and ripping, so the software combination of. So I might put that there too. There we go. What else? CPZ's always good. So as I said, I've got a combination of different I use for things. There's also this one as well, which is Blue Screen View, which is a fantastic thing so far. I've seen being able to see blue screens when you do have a blue screen, and you can diagnose the problem basically. Which that's one of my drives. I'll have to find out what specific drive it's on, but it basically comes as a file, a file on its own. You can just an exe file with a couple extra files in a folder, and you just whack it in there on the drive, and it registers your blue screens whenever you get one, pretty much. So Blue Screen View, I do like it. It's a good piece of software. It's being able to diagnose a problem if you're trying to work out why you can't, or work out something specific. Processor Hacker, which basically is a is basically a piece of software. Basically, it's a piece of software that you just pretty much close all your tasks and priority stuff, and adjust all your settings, and it's basically so you can end a task more easily. There's another thing that I haven't actually got on my desktop, which I need to. Oh my god, I don't think I've actually got it, but I think I could probably find it. Give me a unlocker. I swear I had it on my desktop. There it is. Start Unlocker, which pin to taskbar, which is a fantastic piece of software if you want to delete an icon or something specific. Oh, okay, what's this thing doing? Huh, okay. Oh, that's right, yeah, okay. Well, I'll leave that there anyway. Basically, when you right-click on a file, you can click the unlocker button and it'll unlock it so you can delete it or something. Say you can't delete a file and it's very hard to delete. That's a great little piece of software, which is Unlocker there. It's sort of a all-purpose software. I'll just close that. So, I mean, look, at the end of it, as I said, I try to put mostly useful software around my system, if I can help it. And I've got HTC Sync Manager. HTC Sync Manager is okay. That was for my phone. I sort of use it, sort of don't really use it anymore. The other thing was VMware Workstation. VMware Workstation. Oh yes, I do use that. I need to download a later version or actually get a new version of it at some point. VMware Workstation is basically just virtual machines. You can run virtual machines and muck around with virtual machines pretty much and just do all of that type of stuff. I haven't actually got it set up at the moment, but I will at some point most likely set it up for my system. HTC 10, HTC Sync, Manager. So I mean, at the end of it, some of this stuff, as I said, most of the stuff I've got has served some type of purpose, to be honest, and it pretty much does the job that I expected to do or wanted to do. Now, in a given situation, I've got different pieces of software. I use PowerDirector. I'll just show you. I use PowerDirector 13, which is the latest version. I had to invest some money in that for editing and everything else. So we've got that anyway. So I'll pop that up anyway. So we've got this. So, new untitled project, which is cool. Okay, so this is PowerDirector 13, which is a fantastic piece of software. I use this for editing. I've got Handbrake. I do some of my DVD ripping software and things like that. Let's see. What else do I have? I mean, pretty much most of the software I do use. I just started getting into the Tor browser, which is to browse the deep web pretty much, which is cool. It's not too bad so far. I sort of just started getting into it, started looking into some of the stuff on the deep web. There's some pretty nasty stuff and some pretty interesting stuff on the deep web as well. So I mean, at the same time, it's sort of a combination of, and you got to know which stuff to stay away from and which stuff not to, sort of. So yeah, it's sort of a catch-22 situation with the Tor browser. But Tor browser's not too bad regardless. It's not the worst in the world, so it's pretty cool. It encrypts most of your browsing activity and everything else. So what else? Pretty much that. I mean, all this software serves some purpose, and it serves some purpose in the sense that it helps me to do my work, and it helps me to do some of the stuff I want to do with some of the projects that I end up getting into at a later dates and stuff. So what else we got? What else? I think that's about it, really. I think it's about it, really, as in the sense of good software that I use. I tend to stick with the same software most of the time. I delete a lot of my... I mean, I wish I could archive all the footage that I put on YouTube, but I can't necessarily archive all of it at a given time frame. So, yeah, unfortunately, some of it I might end up archiving later. But I've never had any major issues with most of the stuff on my channel. I've never had any major copyright strikes or, major issues with stuff on, YouTube. Most of the time, YouTube's pretty good with most things. What else? 1, 2, 3. Those anyway. And, I mean, you got that. Now, I mean, look, at the end of it, all this stuff serves a purpose. I also get tweets through on my screen as well. Just, random tweets and things like that go on. But I mean, look, as I said, all this software serves a purpose, and Some of it's fun. I mean, sometimes you muck around and do some editing and everything else. I mean, I do a little bit of editing. I don't do as much as I should. Get rid of that. These are the old versions anyway. So, I mean, pretty much at this point, well, at this point, I've got everything where I want it on my Windows 8.1. I've got everything in the sense of editing. I can do all my editing. I can do my shadow play and everything else and stuff like that. I mean, I've got original record. I've got Bandicam and other software there as well if I want to do some recordings a different way. But I mean, most of it works pretty well, and I haven't had any major issues. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now, YouTube. I just thought I'd show you some of the software that I recommend, or some of the software that I use, especially as a technician. And some of this stuff is, you know, it's great for just finding out certain bits of information you want to find out specifics on stuff. Aside from that, what else? Also that, I find out information about that. I also find information about other stuff as well. Yeah, as I said, it vastly depends anyway. And then in case I wanted to just show you some of the different software that I use. Oh, I mean, there's a couple of them. There's like, this one? ComView, which, as I said, you can get that these days. This is an older version that I've used. This older version is okay. It's not great. I probably should pay for a newer version. Go after a newer version. It's not too bad for getting IP addresses, just straight off the IP addresses that are connected to your system and things like that. So that's actually not too bad for getting IP addresses and stuff of that nature. Aside from getting that IP address, you can use that to get IP addresses. You can also, there's a lot of other programs you can use for getting IP addresses as well. There's tons of stuff out there these days, in particular if you really want to go into the whole thing. What else? Windows 10. What was it? TeamViewer 10, which is a good, in case anybody, you know, needs help on the internet or something like that, or I want to help a friend out or something, I'll use TeamViewer to access their computer and just sort of help them out and fix their computer up, basically, stuff of that nature. So yeah, sort of remote login, remote viewings things, which I can help them out and just sort of, you know, make sure something works or help them to get something working. Was it? And I've got eBay Turbo Lister, which is basically for me doing my eBay listings and everything else just easier. I'd list it at one time and then I can just whack it on with that. Mostly I've been doing through mostly the stuff I've been doing through the eBay side of late. Just because I haven't really been selling as much as I want to sell. I wish I could sell things really quick, but, you know, depends on who's interested. It depends on who's interested in them, and it depends on whether you can get a collector of a particular item. So, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much, YouTube. Hope you enjoy my videos as per usual. Like, favorite, and subscribe. Aside from liking, favorite, and subscribing, you can also, as well as liking, favorite, and subscribing, you can also contribute to my Patreon, or you can make a PayPal donation towards my tech habit or my tech channel, just to keep my channel going strong. As I said, that always helps. It does help me. It does really help me, to be honest, if people do that. As I said, only if you want to, but no pressure. But, you know, it sort of keeps me going with the tech stuff. I mean, I got my business stuff, and I got, you know, the money that I make out of doing my hobby stuff, my business stuff, you know, which is my repair stuff. But, you know, having that little bit extra, I can expand things, I can get into new stuff, I can go for the new angles of things. As I said, the only reason my channel hasn't really expanded at this point in time is, I guess, because primarily it's down to my internet and being able to upload the videos when I want to upload the videos, and being able to actually do the videos when I want to do them. At the end of it, I think it's down to my internet is placing a limitation on what type of videos I can do. Firstly, I can't do 4K or anything of that nature, so unfortunately that's just a side effect of it. And I mean, I am only a one-person show, really. It's only me doing this stuff, so, you know, it's only me really at this point in time. And I mean, I haven't expanded to the point where I need more employees and things like that. And obviously I can do that, but I mean that'll come at a later date. that'll come towards the the future when I've expanded it on things that I do with with that type of stuff anyway. So Twitch TV, hopefully I'm going to get some Twitch TV set back up again, because I heard they now have data centers in Australia, which would be great, because I can try that out and actually see if the Twitch stuff works properly, and just actually see if it's functional, reasonably functional in my mind. So try that. What else? So I got that. Twitch TV, Instagram, Facebook, Google Plus, Patreon, PayPal, all that stuff, and of course my Twitter if you want to tweet me. So yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you, and thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it. I hope you found it interesting. All right. Thank you very much, and bye.